The mainstream media's coverage of climate change has been a topic of discussion in recent years, with some arguing that it is being used as a tool to oppress Christians. While this claim may seem far-fetched, there are several ways in which the media's portrayal of climate change can be seen as perpetuating a narrative that is hostile to Christian values. One way in which the media uses climate change to oppress Christians is by presenting it as a solely scientific issue rather than a moral or spiritual one. This approach ignores the fact that many Christians see climate change as a matter of stewardship and responsibility to care for God's creation. By framing the issue in purely scientific terms, the media can make Christians who are skeptical of climate change appear to be anti-science or ignorant, rather than recognizing the legitimate concerns about the role of human activity in shaping the environment. Furthermore, the media often presents climate change as a threat to the entire planet, rather than recognizing the specific challenges it poses to Christian communities. For example, climate change can lead to increased poverty, displacement, and marginalization of already vulnerable populations, many of whom are Christian. By failing to acknowledge these specific impacts, the media can perpetuate the narrative that climate change is a universal issue that affects everyone equally, rather than recognizing the disproportionate burden it places on certain communities. Another way in which the media uses climate change to oppress Christians is by promoting a secular, environmentalist worldview that is often at odds with Christian values. This can be seen in a way that climate change is often presented as a moral imperative, with those who are skeptical of climate change being portrayed as morally suspect. This approach ignores the fact that many Christians see climate change as a complex issue that requires a nuanced and multifaceted response, rather than a simplistic moral crusade. The media also often fails to recognize the contributions that Christians are making to address climate change. Many Christian organizations and individuals are working tirelessly to promote sustainability, reduce carbon emissions, and protect the environment, yet these efforts are often overlooked or ignored by the media. Instead, the media tends to focus on the actions of secular environmental groups, presenting them as the sole arbiters of moral authority on climate change. Additionally, the media's coverage of climate change can be seen as perpetuating a form of eco-theology that is hostile to Christian values. This approach presents the natural world as a sacred, untouchable entity that must be protected at all costs, rather than recognizing the complex and multifaceted relationship between humans and the environment. This can lead to a form of nature worship that is at odds with the Christian notion of stewardship and dominion over the earth. In conclusion, while the claim that the mainstream media uses climate change to oppress Christians may seem exaggerated, there are several ways in which the media's coverage of climate change can be seen as perpetuating a narrative that is hostile to Christian values. By presenting climate change as a solely scientific issue, ignoring the specific challenges it poses to Christian communities, promoting a secular environmentalist worldview, failing to recognize the contributions of Christians to address climate change, and perpetuating a form of eco-theology that is hostile to Christian values, the media can be seen as contributing to a narrative that is oppressive to Christians. It is essential to recognize the complex and multifaceted nature of climate change and to promote a nuanced and inclusive approach that acknowledges the contributions and concerns of all individuals and communities, including Christians.